This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
It's Thursday. That means, of course, our high school football roundtable, among other items today. Looking forward to it. Another big ESPN extravaganza last night. What is wrong with these people? Did you watch any of the playoffs last night?
I actually had computer issues at work, so I had to go home and work. And okay. I had the TV on, and I looked up, and I thought the game was over when they were interviewing Garrett Mitchell, because I assumed, why would they be interviewing him in the dugout?
It is stunning. They do this, okay, as time has gone, I give ESPN all the credit in the world for airing as many games as possible, because when I was growing up, we didn't have these options. So that's great. Except these guys get involved. And when they get involved, they overthink it. And they end up ruining the experience. Really? Okay? You have 2 seasons on the line in the top of the 9th inning. Okay? The Mets are trying to somehow come back and sweep. The Brewers are trying to force a third and deciding game. Action trumps all. And they're in the dugout interviewing the guy that hit a home run in the 8th inning. while the ball's in the air. What are you doing?
They did make it back to see him catch the fly ball, at least.
Yippee. Right? I mean, that's just bad. That's bad.
I mean, they would have had to wait like 3 minutes to interview the dude?
Right, exactly. This is not the regular season where they have the manager in the 4th inning with the headset on. Okay? This is like it's winning and losing time. Winning and losing time. And this is what they do. A disgrace. I mean, to anybody watching, you're like, what? Where's the game? I mean, that's why people are saying, like, where's the game?
I'm betting Garrett Mitchell wanted to watch the game as well.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just, you sit there, okay, there is a formula that has worked in broadcast sports for a long time. It's simple. It works. And these guys tinker with it all the time. I don't mind trying something, right? But there's certain things that don't work. And just common sense tells you they don't work. These are producers and directors trying to win some sort of award. Stop it. I think I mentioned that during the Olympics. They did something in the Olympics that was similar, I think.
was something during the sprints, but I forget what it was.
Yeah. Oh, I know what it was. I remember now. I'm glad you brought that up because I was trying to remember. Noah Lyles, okay? Regardless of what Lee Diffie did, doesn't matter, okay? He's trying to broadcast in real time. I got it. Okay. But the producer and director kept showing Lyles prancing around, showing the mom, showing the replay of the mom. I'm standing there waiting like, okay, what are the results? What are the times? I wanted to know what the time was. I wanted to know if the other American finished third. I assumed he did because he was walking around with an American flag draped around him. They never said. Wait. Oh, and that dude is going to get some sort of award. And they're going, oh, way to go, great. I'd be the first one to walk up to him and tell him right now, you stink at your job. You do. You stink at your job. Your job is to let people know what's going on, not reaction shots. Reaction shots are part of the job, but we need results. What are the results? Who finished? Did the other American finish third? What were the times? Because it's the 100 meters. So in the 100 meters, that's one that, like, the time, right, is something you can put up against history. And then you can show all the reaction shots. I don't mind all the reaction shots, but there's an order to do it. And those guys, oh, we're going to get an award for this. This is incredible. You know, it's like you know, you could show me later the mom jumping up and down. That's nice. Like, I don't understand them.
Producing art.
Yeah, we're doing art. You're doing sports, okay? Now, you want to add in some art. Once you you must take care of the fundamentals and then take care of the art. ESPN does not do a good job of taking care of the fundamentals. All right? Okay. Oh, well. That's the way it goes. I think they're out of this after tonight. They're done, right? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I forget which is which, but one league goes to Fox and the other one goes to
TBS. Yeah. Look, again, the bottom line is simple. Okay? Just do the game. And then if you could add in some really cool touches that enhance the experience, yes. But don't go away from the game. Every pitch now means something. It's the postseason. I mean, all those Phillies fans out there, how would you like them to cut away in the ninth inning when the Phillies are trying to close it out? You're hanging on every pitch. We can talk to the other guy in about 5 minutes.
I actually didn't think about it in the moment. I was too busy swearing at Garrett Mitchell.
Oh, well, I understand that.
Well, actually in Jackson Churio, too, but...
Yeah. I can understand that, but I don't understand what their thought process is.
No.
It's... and they do this all the time. Right? And, like, do we get anything out of these interviews? Anything that's really interesting? I mean, the coach interviews, it's interesting because when Brian interviews James will actually, it kind of confirms a lot of what Jack and I have been saying in the first half. He actually gives us something. Now, he gave us a lot more the last game. I'm not going to get into that. That was interesting. I think I said something like, well, that was blunt.
I believe that's exactly what you said.
And then I said, I think he's speaking for a lot of Penn State fans.
It is.
I did talk to Tony Rojas about that play yesterday, but that's a different. Go ahead.
I think he approaches them a little differently than most coaches do, too. I think he, at least with you guys, I think he plans on, giving you guys stuff, I think is the best way to put it. Make it worth your while to talk to him at that point.
Yeah. The post-game interview, he's very open about, what happened, didn't happen, right? He'll kid around a little bit with us. There's also a comfort level, too. I think that
Yes.
does enter into it. So, yeah. But like most of the time, for example, the NCAA, remember I had Wes Durham on and I said, you guys can't talk to players anymore during game time? And he said, players can't be talked to anymore. It's a rule. Okay. So, that's fine.
I hate to sound like an old man, but we can pay them, but they're too fragile to talk at halftime?
To be honest with you, I don't think it's fragility. I don't think it has anything to do with that. To me, during the game, or going into the locker room at halftime, like, this is your workplace. And I think media invades the workplace too often. I'm talking about games. I'm not talking about practices or anything like that. All right. That once the game starts, I don't mind if the head coach gets interviewed at halftime. All right. That's fine. Player who aren't used to doing things like that, I don't know. I'd rather just get them to the locker room and just because they're trying to do their job. I don't know. And media is not part of their job until after the game. That's me. Now, I understand where you're coming from.
I just mean they were doing it, and all of a sudden this is it being, I forget what started it. It was in the kickoff, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did it week 1, and I think Haynes King of Georgia Tech was interviewed, I believe, in Ireland. And then they said, no, you can't do that anymore. Because, NFL players are not interviewed during the game except in the preseason. Right? And to be honest with you, the halftime interviews with coaches, even in the NFL, I mean, are we getting anything? I mean, it always depends on who it is. I mean, like a Mike McDaniel will give you the playbook, right? But the vast majority don't. I mean, Bill Belichick's no longer coaching, right? He may coach again next year, which is fine. But what would you get from Bill Belichick at halftime? Other than saying you have him on.
Probably a grunt.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't. The NBA ones are kind of the same way too. They just.
Oh, I mean, Greg Popovich turned it into a joke.
Yeah.
All right. And everybody will tell you, I've never met him, but I do have mutual friends with him. I've never met him, but I have mutual friends, and they've told me he's the greatest guy to be around. Okay. But in that, he wants nothing to do with you when it comes to that.
No.
I don't know. So it's interesting. I mean, I just don't know what people are getting out of it. To me, the most interesting ones usually are in baseball, the fourth inning, they do the interview with the manager. Yeah, and they do it during the commercial break. It's not live, okay? I mean, I've done enough TV baseball where I can tell you when we do it. Okay. All right. But you do get something, and they're more relaxed, even though it's like a game's a game. There's 162 of them. I think Emily Kaplan does a great job in the NHL with the playoffs. She's very simple, direct questions. She doesn't, she doesn't need the subject and the audience to know that she knows a lot. She just asks good questions. Right? She's in that spot. I already assume M knows. Right? She's smart to begin with. But most of the other stuff, the NFL stuff's brutal.
Yeah.
It's brutal. I just don't feel like I get anything out of it. Give me an interview where in the end you learn more about what was going on, other than, we got to run the ball better. We got to, we can't turn the ball over. Okay. Well, no offense, I sort of got that part.
I don't know until I watch the film.
That's your favorite.
Yes.
Oh, well. We get the roundtable at the bottom of the hour, right?
That is correct.
Cool. We'll take a break. Opening half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
It's actually UCLA's coming in here tomorrow, and they'll get here by about 3 o'clock. Do a walkthrough in Beaver Stadium. Now, remember, it's a quicker flight from the west to the east because of the wind. I think it will take them about 4:45, 4.5 to 4:45 to get here. When Penn State goes out to USC next week, it's going to be like an hour longer going into the wind. And go from there. We'll get into the travel next week. I already have a pretty good idea what we're doing here. In fact, I have an excellent idea what we're doing here. So obviously, I'm on the list. But yeah.
I hope you got an itinerary.
We'll get one on Monday or Tuesday.
Oh.
I don't worry about that stuff too much. Man, I know where we're staying, right? And I have a pretty good idea how we're handling Friday. I already have a restaurant set for Friday night.
Hitting Spagos, are you?
No, my man. We are going to Mastro's.
Oh, well.
Not in Beverly Hills. The last 2 times we were out there, we went to Mastro's in Beverly Hills. We're going to go to Mastro's in L.A., which is right near the hotel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's the broadcast team. That's where we're going. I'm the one that made the reservation. So I can confirm that. I'm the one that made the reservation.
I hope you're not paying for the football team.
Oh.
I hope it's just broadcasters.
Something tells me my credit card could not handle the offensive line.
No.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. We have a multitude of insurance needs. And Purdy Insurance handles them all and saves you money in the process. Customer service means everything to them. The great people at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. All right, let's get to the high school roundtable. Some interesting results last week. And we will start with Coach Briggs and Selinsgrove. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, Steve. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. It's right. The showdown with Shukalimi this week. Last week, a tough one with Shamokin. Well, I want to start with the Shamokin part of it. They have put together some really good performances so far. You finally got a chance to really look at them firsthand. What did you think?
Oh, they're explosive in every facet. Really impressed with their quarterback. In my opinion, I think he's the one that kind of took it over for them in a close game a week ago against Selinsgrove. But, you know, big kids up front, tall, athletic, skilled kids. Quarterback, he's a little guy. He's just a sophomore, but he's everywhere. He runs the ball. He throws very, very well. I mean, the score that basically put them over to beat Selinsgrove, ball snapped over his head, went about 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And you know what happens then? All the defense kind of, you know, they kind of hiccup and go, whoa, and then start pursuing. He outran the pursuit, going to his left, and threw a dime in the end zone for a touchdown. And it was just amazing. Now, part of it was the secondary and linebackers started to drift up. The ball was in the red zone, started to drift up. And when he was scrambling to obviously make a play, and two of the guys came off the receivers. But amazing scramble and throw. They're a good football team. And Selinsgrove had them on the ropes. A turnover that led to a score for Shamokin, but it was a 9-7 game into the third quarter before these things happened. But hats off to him. Mark Persing's doing a great job there.
You know what? In these games, it's usually one play each half.
Oh, my goodness.
Who can win the one play each half? And in the end, Shamokin won the one play in the second half that threw him over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they started the game. Pat O'Brien, who does a super job on our radio, we were walking out, and he said, how many times have you seen in my career where something happens quickly, like the Pencil kid returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown? Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden, Selinsgrove just went on a 10-play drive and scored and went up 7-6. Shamokin missed the PAT. It stayed that way till about a minute to go in the half. Back and forth type of thing. But how many times do you see a team that scores quickly, big, and then all of a sudden it's kind of they get back on their heels a little bit, and because they're saying to themselves, "Oh, this is a little bit too easy." Well, it wasn't. I think Selinsgrove smacked them in the teeth a little bit, and it's probably the first time since Jersey Shore that's happened to them, and they responded. So, good game.
All right, so now Selinsgrove needs to respond. What did you take out of that game that is actually, in the end, will be a building block for them in the stretch run?
So many young guys are playing. They had guys come back off of injury, some older guys that were injured again. And then, they're playing a couple freshmen on the offensive line, secondary, a couple freshmen. I'm talking about Selinsgrove now. And the key to the whole night last week, and probably thus far in the season, is two people. Gavin Bastian, and who plays both sides of the ball. And, man, Ethan Miller, the linebacker, is just all over the place. That mixed in, I think they're getting healthier, and I think saying that even though a couple guys got dinged last week, what's happening is these young guys are getting valuable experience. And this week, it's obviously a big one because of the historical background between Selinsgrove and Shikellamy.
Mm-hmm.
Seals have had the upper hand the last couple of years, but still, a rivalry is a rivalry, and throw out the records.
Let me ask you about that part, because I'm going to ask the Chief the same thing. Maryland,
he'll lie to you.
I know he will. I bet he has a history of it. Okay. Maryland in basketball will tell you that Duke is their biggest rival. Over and over and over and over. But you talk to the Duke people, it's game 12.
North Carolina.
Right? Okay? Yep. It's game 12. Like Michigan State, that's our biggest rival, Michigan. For Michigan, it's game 5. Right?
Yep.
How does Selinsgrove view Shikellamy?
Well, kind of what I just said. They've had the upper hand for so long. I remember they played, I wasn't doing this and was just a fan a couple years back where Shikellamy beat them in the playoffs, beat Selinsgrove, and it was a shocker to the whole community. I think for Shikellamy, this is their chance to, hey, we've got a chance to beat the big boys, the guys that won a state title and are always in the playoffs and all this and that. For Selinsgrove, it's kind of what you just said. It's kind of the next one on the schedule, and we know it's a rivalry, but let's go. So maybe not emphasized enough. I don't mean that the coaches are not, but I think it's maybe the rivalry has kind of lost its luster. And, again, that's a fan observing here, not necessarily anybody.
But that's a fair answer, though.
Or anything.
Right. Yeah, but that's a fair answer, and that's why I asked. It's fair. Hey, Coach, thanks so much. Always appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve, and good luck to the Nittanies again this week.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Steve. All right. Well, let's transition to Shikellamy. Chief is on the line, and now you have some positive stuff to talk about. What did Friday night just mean to the psyche of this team by not only winning, but how they did it?
Oh, it meant a lot, Steve. And, we talked last week that the team that scored first probably would have the advantage, and the Braves drove down the field about 70 yards and had a nice touchdown pass from Brody Raybuck into Thomas Pollock, and it was a thing of beauty. And then after that, things just picked up. I will tell you that I have never seen a game, I don't think I've ever played in one, where every aspect of the team excelled. Offensive line, defensive line, special teams. It was just amazing. They basically dominated. I know Central Mount had won a game, so we were in the same boat, and it was just a great night. And you can tell the kids were really enjoying themselves, and that made practice this week getting ready for Selinsgrove a lot easier.
Yeah, there's always a lot more jump in practice because they've had success. I mean, what do you think moving forward, just doing what they did last Friday night can mean to them in terms of the psyche of it?
Well, number one, the confidence. They put in a new offense just last week against Jersey Shore. Granted, it was an offense that they ran probably the last couple of years, but they had not run it since then. And they got a lot of confidence in that. The defense there were 2 touchdowns called back. One was an interception for a touchdown. The other was a punt return of 95 yards for a touchdown. So, I mean, when you get success like that, when you see what's supposed to happen, and it does happen, I think you become a little bit more of a believer. If you're continually not succeeding, whether it's running the ball, passing the ball, special teams, stopping on defense, and it doesn't happen, I think the kids start to get down a little bit. But not now. I mean, the last 2 games, even though Jersey Shore played very well and beat us by quite a few points, we scored 2 times against their first defense, and that was another ignition. I just really feel good to watch kids actually enjoying themselves out in the field.
I asked Steve this, and I'll ask you this, to get the Shikellamy perspective. For Maryland in basketball, Duke is their biggest rival. They'll tell you that over and over and over again. They don't play them anymore, but that's the way it was. But for Duke, it was Game 12. Michigan State, biggest rival, Michigan. Michigan, it's Game 5. Okay? How does Shikellamy view Selinsgrove?
Well, it's definitely a rivalry, but I might get in trouble for this, but I think it's more of a rivalry between the people that are watching the game than the people that are on the field. The kids, yeah, sure, they want to beat Selinsgrove, and they see they see each other all year long, and it's been a while since Shikellamy has delivered a blow to Selinsgrove's ego. So that's one thing I think they're looking at. And, I mean, I hate to talk about past history, but for the first probably 12 years of the games between Shikellamy and Selinsgrove, Shikellamy dominated. And then in the 80s, it was kind of games where they were going back and forth with victories. And Selinsgrove over the last 25 years has gotten Shikelamy's number. But this is another game. It's a new one. And, it's the old story. They may only win 2 or 3 games this year. If they beat Selinsgrove, that's bragging rights, and they'll say, yeah, but we beat Selinsgrove. So it's just one of those things that I think help them out. Shamokin has a great team. They could get through districts, and they could get to states, but if they don't beat Mount Carmel, that's all they'll talk about the whole year long. It's kind of the same thing. You beat Selinsgrove, you got something you can talk about. All right,
which brings up the last question. Does it lose a little luster because it's not the last game of the regular season?
I don't think so. For years, it was the second game of the season. And I think that maybe if it were earlier, it would be the kids might be fresher as far as their legs and as far as, I guess, just their bodies not being hit as much or any of those injuries. But it doesn't lose any luster being this game. Okay. I mean, I think it's right in the middle of the season, and especially this year since we've had a change in coaching and we've had a change in, it seems, some type of attitude. But, no, I would say it doesn't make a big difference with Shikellamy.
Dave, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Again, good luck with Penn State. I was there last week for the game with Illinois, and I'm going to be there for UCLA. So
great. Enjoy it. Yeah, be a lot of fun.
Yep, we will. All right. Take care.
The great Dave Ritchie with us on the show. Greg Wetzel now joins us. The beat goes on. Beat Loyalsock 27-13. Greg. Right?
Yes, sir.
They got something special going here, don't they?
They have something going right now, Steve. They're playing well defensively, offensively. The score was 27-7. Loyalsock scored the last play of the game, and probably made the score about what it should be. It was a well-played game, both sides of the ball, and it was good. It was good to see Lewisburg come out on top, go to 6-0.
Well, let's get to something you can't see, but when you're around it, you can feel it. What kind of confidence does this team have right now because of the success?
They are a very confident football team, Steve. You know, this game against Loyalsock, They returned a kickoff to the 21-yard line. The score was 13-7 in favor of Lewisburg at the time. Loyal Soccer's on Lewisburg's 21-yard line, 1st and 10, midway through the third quarter. The defense gave up exactly 2 yards in 4 plays. You know, they don't panic. They're being coached right now. They're listening to their coaches. They're just doing a really, really nice job running the schemes that the coaches want them to run, staying within themselves. They're fun to be around right now.
I can imagine they are. Now they've got this matchup with Midwest, and Midwest got, unfortunately for them, Bloomsburg took them apart 43-0. How do you look at the matchup with Midwest, and for Lewisburg, scoring first kind of keeps the boat rolling?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Midwest, Steve. It really is. They're a program that's trying to get the sport started, getting a foothold on the sport. They haven't had a lot of success the last 2 years. I think they've lost 16 or 17 games in a row, something like that. This year they've only scored 13 points. The coaching staff at practice last night, guys, we're 0-0. I'm sure you hear that with Coach Franklin a lot. We want to be 1-0 this week. This is what we need to do. We need to get better. These are the areas we want to improve in. Talking about those type of things. Talking with him after practice, he's not worried about overconfidence. He thinks the captains have a good feel on the team of what they're doing, and he wants to get in there, get a lead, get the starters out, and keep everybody healthy. That's his biggest concern, I think, going into this week, keeping people healthy.
Well, this is fun for you. Normally your biggest concern is hitting that 9-iron and getting a little draw on it. All right, so.
That would be wonderful.
Oh, good. Hey, always a pleasure. Great they're playing so well. And by the way, is the town starting to respond to these guys?
They are. What was great last week, Steve, was it was alumni weekend, homecoming, and they were all excited. We had a good turnout for the game. People are starting to come out and pay attention to this football team.
That's great. Love it.
Yep.
Greg,
Really
thanks so much, my man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yep, appreciate it. We will come back with more in a moment. Don't forget, coming up this week, it'll be Shikellamy and Selinsgrove at Selinsgrove. So you'll have 1070 WKOK. We'll have the Selinsgrove broadcast along with the WKOK Sports YouTube channel. It'll be Selinsgrove on Eagle 107 with the SBC Sports Live YouTube channel, and then Lewisburg at Midwest on 100.9 The Valley. Back with more in a moment. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
By the way, did you see the actor John Amos passed away this week?
I did.
I actually saw him play football. He played in the old Continental Football League with the Wheeling Ironmen. And, of course, I grew up in Connecticut. And Hartford had a team in the league called the Hartford Charter Oaks. And so they played the Wheeling Ironman. So, yeah. Saw him play ball. Yeah. And went on and had, obviously, a terrific acting career. Terrific. But, yeah. So, interesting games this week. That's why I wanted to ask about the rivalry part. You can make a big deal out of it, which I get. But I also think that it depends on how each side views it. That's why I brought it up. I'm around enough of them where I sit there and go, okay.
It's as a Selinsgrove grad, I mean, for the last 30 years, I like Dave and Steve said, Selinsgrove's kind of dominated the rivalry, and when it's been very, very rare that both have been good. I mean, I think it was 2017. I think Schick beat them in the regular season, and then Selinsgrove came back and beat them in the district final, and it's rare for both of them to be good at the same time.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. I mean, that's what like the best rivalries. Now, look, I think in the 70s and 80s, to be honest with you, I think Michigan and Ohio State actually did more to hurt the Big Ten than help them. You're like, oh, how can you say that? Because to be honest with you, we got into bowl games, they weren't that good. Okay, like when they weren't playing each other. But it was still a big game that you watched at the end of the year. Then you watch them in a bowl game, especially Michigan. You're like, I think Bo's record in the bowl games was like 6-17 or some number like that. Right? And they just steamroll their way through, and they get to the game, and it was huge. And great rivalry, a lot of emotion, usually Big Ten championship on the line. But then in the 70s and 80s, they go to bowl games. The winner, it didn't turn out so well. Made you kind of question the quality of play in the conference, actually.
Was a little more regional back then.
Way more regional. But again, I mean, like I said, I remember Ohio State, when they finally opened up the door to get multiple teams into bowl games, Ohio State played Alabama in the Orange Bowl. And Alabama, this is 77, and they just ran them out of the place.